I'll talk about the case of Rocky and some of the things at Rocky Mountain National Park, some of the things that are a little different about it and kind of where we're at and the challenges we're starting to see. And I'll talk about the stash pad thing too. But basically, just my own background, I've been there about 3.5 years. And I worked there seasonally 10 years ago. And when I was seasonal there, nobody ever talked about bouldering at the park. It was unheard of. Come back about 7 years later and discovered that there's a huge bouldering scene that's been developing up, and it's different from other bouldering. What was surprising to me is that our bouldering area is about 3 miles into the backcountry. Yeah, people hike in, and there's this area called Cass Canyon is the primary focus of it. Maybe some of you involved in bouldering have heard of it, but what was going on there was it basically was not something anyone paid attention to. There's a bunch of boulders around a lake up there, and multiple social trails going on. Impact vegetation, stuff like that. And because it is 3 miles, and the boulders are really large, you need like multiple crash pads, 5, 6 pads is what people like to use for the problems there. What rangers had noticed was the initial problem we've tackled is the crash pads are all being stashed everywhere. And this is in a wilderness, proposed, now official wilderness area. Just a lot of trash and litter and crash pads. A successful effort we did there was we reached out to the climbing community. And the situation we're in there, there's both a strong local community and then a big kind of traveling through community. And it was a good work with the guide services and other groups. I think we posted something on Mountain Project. A lot of people pay attention to that. And we did a cleanup day where we pulled out like it was like 40 to 50 crash pads we pulled out in a weekend. And yeah, so it was a quite an obvious type problem. And so it was a big effort on education, and we didn't do it as an enforcement action. It was a violation of park rules, but we collected the pads. We actually we put a press release out. People were able to come and get their pads, and they did get a written warning for it. So that was that was been our first step in that case. So I guess what we learned was, that there were people to work with within the bouldering community. But it's still, and we're kind of a little bit behind the curve, I think, where you guys are at. Next year, we're trying to catch up. Next year there's going to be a guidebook's going to be published on bouldering at Rocky Mountain National Park by Sharp End Publishing. We have met with the authors to try to get some of our own messaging in there that, wilderness and trash and things like that. We're continuing to see, and these areas are kind of multi-use. It's not just, people aren't just coming to boulder. These are hiking destinations, fishing destinations. You get these boulders right off the trail. They're covered in chalk. We are seeing landscaping, trees being knocked down. And kind of like it's mentioned, it is a very social thing. Unlike, say, traditional climbing, which is the park is used to, where, there'll be a little impact zone at the base of the climb. You'll have a rock like this, and the whole area around it is just, the low-lying vegetation's it's pretty much dead, and it's a hangout spot. And I've just hiked around trying to talk to people there and the bouldering community, and I'm amazed at how far back they're going now. We have, like, our trailhead for that area is about 9,400 feet, and they're going as far as 13,000 feet in elevation, finding boulder problems. So it's a very intensive place, and there's other more remote areas. So some of the questions we've talked about I guess this is to stimulate some discussion. What kind of management actions should anyone do? It's a day use deal. We don't